Okay, hello there. I want to welcome you once again to this platform. Thank you so much for joining for this lesson. This evening, I want to share with you on intrusive thoughts, and how we can deal with them. So we would have a brief lesson on intrusive thoughts and how we can deal with them. And I hope that you find it beneficial. Okay, so intrusive thoughts, what are they? What are some of the causes and how we can deal with them? So we are looking at, first of all, what intrusive thoughts are. And intrusive thoughts, according to the APA Dictionary of Psychology, refers to mental events. So that's a key word, mental events. So I highlight that mental events that interrupt the flow of task-related thoughts in spite of efforts to avoid them. They are upsetting intrusions which are common after trauma and in obsessive compulsive disorders. So intrusive thoughts are mental events. They are activities that are happening in the mind, which are not, needed, which are not uh, things that you are consciously uh, engaged in processing. So they interrupt certain thoughts that are relevant to you in a particular moment when you are engaged in a particular task. Maybe you are, trying to sleep, or you are trying to work on a certain assignment or work on a particular uh, task. These thoughts come in unwarranted, unneeded, uninvited, and then they try to, interrupt the flow of your thoughts, even as you are serious doing something or trying to focus your attention on more important things. And usually we'll find these intrusive thoughts, common amongst people that have suffered a particular trauma before. So if you have someone who has, suffered a certain traumatic experience, like being attacked by armed robbers, or, being physically assaulted, or lost someone dear to them, these intrusive thoughts are common, place when it comes to these individuals. And individuals who also have obsessive compulsive disorders, the OCDs, this uh, intrusive thoughts that come, that would usually initiate the compulsive behaviors that are associated with the OCD. So intrusive thoughts are mental events. They are uh, activities that happen in the mind uninvited, and they are disruptive to your thoughts and, everyday activities that are relevant to you. And so we would say that the intrusive thoughts are unwanted thoughts and mental images that consistently rampage your mind. So it's more or less trying to take over your mind and your serenity at a point, against your will, leading to frustration, distress, and reduced concentration. So you may be in an exam room trying to, answer questions, and you realize that a lot of things begin to run through your mind at that moment, when you don't need, to be having flashes of images, from maybe a certain scene um, that has happened before in an exam where you failed, or, so those are thoughts that in the moment are not needed. They are unwanted, and they come in and flood your mind consistently trying to get you away from your attention at that moment, and they frustrate you. They make you frustrated. Sometimes, you are seated in a vehicle, and then there are some images that begin to pop up from a certain accident scene, or you see a certain, track ahead of you, and then a lot of thoughts begin to rush through that makes you feel distressed and a little bit fearful or anxious within that situation. Those are what we call intrusive thoughts, and they are unwanted, and they come in against your will and distort your thoughts within a particular period of time. What are some of the types of intrusive thoughts? So we have the negative self-talk. You'd usually find that people that have low self-esteem or have some form of inferiority complex, such negative self-talks, critical voices of criticism, of demeaning themselves and all that, would usually be running through the mind. So if they are called to come and do a presentation, you find that a lot of these negative thoughts begin to run through the mind in that moment. You are not good enough, you fail, people will laugh at you. So those are negative self-talks, and it is usually because the individual probably lacks self-confidence. They have this inferiority complex, and so it's commonplace to have these negative self-talks intruding in key moments where they are supposed to focus on doing something productive. So you see an image here, I can't do it, I'll fail at it, there's somebody maybe starting out to perform a task, and all these thoughts begin to come in. How about you do it this way, do it that way, because you will fail if you don't do it this way, and it's not as though it is an external force talking to you. It's not as though it's an external person talking to you. These are mental, events that are happening, trying to bring you down, trying to destabilize you, trying to make you see that whatever attempt you are making, you'll fail at it. And they are really intrusive, as the name suggests. Then we also have intrusive sexual thoughts. These, sometimes you have certain fantasies of sex that begin to run through your mind. Probably you've seen, if you're a gentleman, you see a lady, and then a lot of, thoughts, unhealthy, negative thoughts begin to run through the mind. It's not as though you are comfortable having those thoughts, but they come in to more or less destabilize you, and if you are not careful and you focus attention on those thoughts, you are likely to take an action that will be negative. So sometimes these sexual thoughts, which are intrusive in nature, are so rampaging, they are so flooding in such a manner that your emotions, get involved, and people would end up probably going to sexually abuse somebody or harass somebody, or even go to the extent of raping and all that. So we have the sexual thoughts, intrusive sexual thoughts, and then we have intrusive violence thoughts. There are some instances, and where you have certain aggressive thoughts beginning to run to your mind. And these could be signs of, a mental health condition, especially with individuals that have conduct disorders, and, antisocial, personality disorders. You would find that they would usually have these thoughts that come in, these intrusive thoughts of, doing something, causing some harm, causing some damage, and it's impulsive in nature. Sometimes it becomes so much on them that they will take the action, cause the violent, occasion to happen, and then they come back to themselves. So those are intrusive in nature, and they are thoughts about aggressive actions and behaviors. And so you see in the image someone with a gun who is trying to uh, cause havoc, and there's somebody trying to hold them. So um, we have those violence thoughts, especially for individuals that have conduct related issues or disorders, and some antisocial personality disorders. And then finally, we have intrusive morality thoughts. These are usually related to morals, and value systems. So it could be religious in nature. So if you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you are whichever religion that you are, you'd find that because there are moral standards expected, for you as a religious person, usually there's this sense of guilt when probably you failed to even something as little as greeting somebody. You fail to greet an elderly person, and as you are walking, there's a lot of guilt that you are sensing, and a lot of things begin to run through your mind. What if I fall down right now and this person decides not to help me, or something happens right now? So those are thoughts that come to us usually on the grounds of moral judgments and moral values. um, you put up a behavior, or you sin, and there's a lot of guilt associated with it. Uh, Externally, people criticizing you and passing judgments on you, and then your mental, state itself being flooded with all the sense of guilt and sense of shame. You know, so we have those instances as well where we have a lot of intrusive morality thoughts coming in, whether from the religious angles or the cultural perspectives and all that, or our personal beliefs and our personal principles. When we go against those principles, chances are that we will have these intrusive thoughts of morality, flooding through here and there, and they disrupt our focus and our attention when we do not expect them to even pop up. So these are just some examples or some types of intrusive thoughts classified under the negative self-talk: intrusive sexual thoughts, intrusive violence thoughts, and intrusive morality thoughts. What are the causes and risk factors? So some of the reasons why we may have these, intrusive thoughts coming in include repressed memories. Repressed memories. So especially when you are looking at it from the psychoanalytic perspective, the perspective of those psychologists, that believe that stress, depression, anxiety could be a consequence of certain memories that have been repressed from our childhood. Certain events that are so traumatic or so much such that our ego, in helping us to avoid the pain and the frustration that comes with those events, tries to repress them. One of the defense mechanisms called repression. So tries to repress these memories just to help us or save us from the pain that comes with those traumatic events or abuse events. So sometimes as we move on, as we grow, as we go ahead in life, these repressed memories begin to pop up in our conscious mind. From the unconscious mind, they pop up into our conscious mind, and then they disrupt our flow of thoughts. So one of the reasons why we may have these intrusive sexual thoughts, negative self-talks, violence thoughts, morality thoughts, could be as a result of certain repressed memories. So you have someone who is married, and this person would maybe probably, if they want to have an intimate time with their partner, then all of a sudden these thoughts of probably a certain rape incidents that happened to them in their childhood or early in life, all the scenes begin to pop up, all the images begin to pop up, and a lot of, intrusive messages all around. It disrupts the whole atmosphere of intimacy, and then a lot goes wrong. As I mentioned earlier, you could have someone who maybe is sitting for an exam or an interview, for instance, and in a moment, certain memories from the past could just pop up into the mind within that period of sitting for that exams or interview, of how they failed in that one, how they made certain mistakes, and how they couldn't, defend certain answers they gave and all that. So these thoughts begin to pop up and then cause a lot of disruptions in the person's flow of thoughts. Another risk factor or cause, we have stress. And stress, I have a lesson on this channel on stress, and we know how stress can, affect a lot of things in our life, both physically, mentally, and socially. So stress could be one of the reasons why we have these intrusive thoughts coming in. Anxiety and phobia related conditions. So individuals that have some phobias, so someone who has a phobia for dark places, a fear of dark places, if they find themselves in a dark, surrounding or environment, chances are that all these intrusive thoughts of something bad happening to them, a certain, attack, happening to them, and those violent, scenes begin to pop up here and there. Someone who has a fear of heights, for instance, in climbing a high rising building, may have these thoughts rushing through, and that is what makes you feel that you are falling off the building and all that. So those thoughts are intrusive, and then they really affect your attention and your focus in particular situations. People who are going through depression, and in depression, severe depression, you could see some symptoms of hopelessness, a lot of sad, episodes, withdrawal and all that. And in all of these, you would have a lot of probably even suicidal thoughts coming in, suicide ideations, here and there, which are intrusive in nature. And I mentioned already the obsessive compulsive disorders, which could be a risk factor for a lot of intrusive, impulsive, thoughts. So what can you do? One thing with these intrusive thoughts is that they are not real. They are not real. They are just, as the name suggests, thoughts that come to disrupt your flow of thoughts and actions. So one of the key things you can do is to remain calm when these intrusive thoughts begin to pop up. So and in my lesson I did on stress, I talked about the cognitive disputation and imaginal disputation and the meditation exercises, mindfulness, techniques here and there. So you may want to listen to that after here. But in all of that, maintaining calm is very important as a mindful, way of doing away with these intrusive thoughts. When the intrusive thoughts come, you need to remain calm. And once you remain calm, as I described in the stress lesson, your body's stress response is halted. The body will naturally want to respond to stressful events. So any event that seems to pose danger or feels threatening, including thoughts that are threatening, thoughts about events that seem to be psychologically threatening, can force a stress response of fighting or flighting. So you need to maintain some calm, with breathing in, breathing out slowly, the mindfulness seeing, the mindfulness hearing, the mindful tasting, and all that we discuss in the stress, lesson. So that in the calm, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for returning the body to a state of calm and maintaining balance when it comes to um, how your body responds to external stimuli. So be calm. And the second thing is don't react. These intrusive thoughts thrive on your desire to respond. So if you want to respond to them, then you are fueling those thoughts to come the more. So it all goes back to staying calm. Once there's calm, the stress response is halted. And once the stress response is halted and the parasympathetic kicks in, then there's no need for those thoughts to continue multiplying and getting on the rampage, because your body's response is that there's a state of calm. And therefore, before you realize, all these thoughts, these violent sexual morality or negative self-talk, will subside. Notice and detach. Notice and detach. So you appreciate the fact that these are negative thoughts. You appreciate the fact that these are thoughts that are unwanted, but you want to detach from them. So staying calm and not reacting helps you to detach yourself from those thoughts. The intrusive thoughts will fade away when you ignore and fail to dwell on them. Whatever you meditate on, whatever you pay attention to or assign importance to, would cause you to be in a state of distress, or would have an effect on you. So let's take, for instance, you have gone to the market. Usually as you are walking, you have different people calling you, come and buy, come and buy. This one will call, this one will call, all this and all that. If you want to pay attention to all of them, you realize that you become so confused, and you may end up even buying things that are not necessary. So you need to be able to notice whatever is happening around you and detach yourself from all the calls from here and there, all the noise here and there, and be able to focus on what is essential. Once you are able to notice and detach yourself from all the noise that is around you in that market space, then you would avoid going to spend time on listening to what this person is saying. This person that said, say, you want to hear what the person is calling for, at the end of the day, you waste all your time, attending to things that are not really necessary. So these intrusive thoughts are operating in a similar way. They will be calling you, calling for your attention, like the meat calling, the bus conductor calling, the cocoa seller calling, the tomato seller calling. Everybody is calling you. But you went to the market to buy specific things. You are performing a particular task. So focus on that task. It's difficult, but when you maintain the calm and you refuse to respond or react to those intrusive thoughts that are coming in, you will be able to, maintain your posture in ensuring that these intrusive thoughts will fade away in a moment, and you can continue with whatever you are doing. If it means, listening to a soothing, calm music, that is one way of the mindful hearing, listening to something that is soothing, something that is, the lyrics of the song alone can help calm your mind. That's one way you can help yourself, so that all the negative thoughts, self-talks that are coming, the lyrics of that song that, is soothing and that is encouraging, would help to help you detach yourself from all the negative self-talk that was happening in your mind. So you refocus through calm, not reacting, and detaching yourself from the intrusive thoughts. Okay, so basically that's all we have for today. We have defined what intrusive thoughts are. We have looked at some types. We have looked at the causes and risk factors, and what you can do. I hope this has been helpful. As I mentioned, I have a lesson on stress, the stress response cycle, and how you can deal with stress. And that lesson would be helpful in appreciating some of the things that you can do even to help yourself with intrusive thoughts, which are implicated in stress, and be able to have a fulfilling and satisfying mental well-being. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night.